everybody. It's Jason Augustus Newcomb, and once again, we are inside the Magic Circle. Today, I am talking with Trisha Parker. She is a third-degree Gardnerian witch, a second degree in the Aquarian Tabernacle Church, and an organizer of the Phoenix Fire Festivals, and a member of leadership councils here in Florida on pagan matters and so forth. She's a very active person in the pagan community, and I'm really excited to talk to her both about her personal path, because although I've met her a few times, we haven't really sat down and had a conversation about, you know, what her life is about, because it's been so focused on the event and whatnot that we were doing. And also I want to learn a bit more about, you know, how she got involved in creating events and coordinating events. So I'm really excited to talk to her. Trish, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jason. Happy to be here.
What's that?
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, Trish is a very fun and friendly person, so this should be an interesting conversation. So Trish, how did you first get involved in magic? You, like me, have, I think, been around long enough that, you know, it's sort of pre-internet, and so you had to have some way of finding it all. How did you get involved?
That was tough finding paganism, but I've always truly been a spiritual person. Raised Catholic. My parents kind of abandoned the faith when I was in as an adolescent, but I continued going to church on my own and got involved in Southern Baptist pretty hardcore during one of my marriages, my last marriage. So I learned the Bible, but I never really fit in. About 2002, I believe, my ex-husband, I came home and he's like, you gotta check this out. This religion is all about you. Because at that time I was studying herbs, I was home birthing, I was homeschooling, I hated doctors, I hated institutions. So this was such a rebellious type of path. So that's what attracted me. But like you said, finding people who were like legitimate was difficult. I'd go, you Witch Fox, I think Yahoo groups, Yahoo chats or AOL chats or something was something we were looking into. But finding a group to study with was definitely a challenge. So the books, that's where we started off learning from. But it wasn't until actually I went to a drum circle in Jacksonville, Florida. I met a couple who was going to Phoenix festivals that I really got plugged into the community. And that was Phoenix festivals is definitely the launching board for my career. So, and I'm full-time Wiccan clergy, so it is my career right now.
So I want to talk about everything that you just said, but let's start with where things got started. Magicians and witches and occultists tend to be a fairly literary group. What were the books that you first discovered that piqued your interest?
Oh, I loved Anne Mara, the Green Witch series. Chris Penchak was the next series that I did. Then it was a lot of like Scott Cunningham. So those kind of books. And then I got veered off into really studying a lot of herbalism and being a practitioner there. So I studied a lot of herb books. But, you know, since in the last 5-10 years, tons of different authors. Is
herbalism still a big part of what you're doing at this point?
Oh, yes. I'm an avid gardener. I've really started calling on to plant spirits instead of God forms lately. I don't know if that's like, but there's power in the plants. So yeah, I am absolutely totally into naturism and natural everything, including herbs.
It's funny that you say that, because I've in the last year or so I've gotten really into growing a lot of things in my yard, and I have a very emotional and spiritual relationship with all of my little trees and plants that I've planted, and I talk to them and I worry for them when they seem like they're missing something, and so I know exactly what you mean.
We're very similar. We're very similar to plants, you know.
And
one chemical difference between chlorophyll and blood.
Really, yeah. I mean that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, we're all part of the life of the planet, right? So you know, we're all from the same stuff ultimately.
Right.
So you then you discovered the Phoenix festivals, and that's what really drew you in. Now you're kind of, I mean, in my mind at least, kind of the heart of the Phoenix festivals at this point. So how did that transformation take place?
Oh boy, yeah. So I started going, I believe, in 2006, and I'm a mother of 6 children. So getting out by myself was hard. My husband and I, he was totally in the closet with his parents, so we'd have to lie and stuff like that, and she would come watch the kids. But I have a degree in accounting, and it's opened a lot of doors for me because when the owners of festival in 2010 said that they were either going to have to sell the festival or close down. This was Wade and Diane Berlin, that they were done. They couldn't do it anymore. As a community, we got together to raise the money. We got different loans from community members to buy the festival from them, and I was elected as the secretary treasurer of the group. And so we got these promises to pay. We had 4 festivals to pay everybody back in full, which we did. And so we were able to have more of a community-based festival instead of like one person making all the decisions, which is a lot.
Sure.
So we grew and grew, and then in December of 2014, our coordinators, it was Drew and Darlene, they stepped down. So I took over as coordinator because of my position as treasurer. I knew the business.
Right.
And I really didn't want to because it's such a huge responsibility. And I'm not really, I don't like to be in the front most of the time. So it was. Really? Yes.
Because in my mind, you are in the front.
My rising sign is Gemini, but my sun is Cancer. So I do have that, like, leave me alone, that tendency. But anyway, it took over in December 2014. And it's been going. I mean, I really have a heart for business, so I think that really helped. And I'm not a micromanager, so I give the job away. You're going to do this, go for it. And if you fall on your face, you fall on your face. But so it's kind of easier to run a festival when you're not like have your hands everywhere. So, and people come and go. And go ahead.
I was going to say that's good advice right there. Don't try and take it all on. How many festivals a year do you guys do?
Burnout. 2. We do 2. We do one over Ostara in March all the time, and then we do one early in October, so that we're not on top of other people who like to do the Samhain rituals and the Samhain festivals. We would like to do Ostara in Mabon, which is September, but it's too darn hot here in Florida.
Just in case people in Florida are watching this and don't know about your festivals, can you just, I mean, because your festivals have their own flavor to them, so just tell me a little bit about them.
Okay. Yeah, Phoenix Festivals, it was established in 1992. We're going to have our 30th birthday party in March next year. I'm so excited about that. But we're a 5-day, 4-night outdoor events, and we've moved to Gilchrist County, which is west of Gainesville. We moved last year, even though we didn't have any festivals in 2020.
And that's to Aaron Leach's property, or Aaron and Carrie's property.
Yes, Solomon Springs. So, and he reached out to us when he bought the property, and we're like, hell yeah. So we had a nest egg, so we were able to put infrastructure on there. We built beautiful showers out there right now. We're going to do a stage after this coming event. But we are a very open, very family-friendly community. I started bringing my younger kids to the festival because we just brought them. So I have a heart for family, and we need to train up younger kids, younger generations to take over for us when we're done.
Sure.
But it's a lot of fun. We do a lot of rituals. Sometimes this is the only space that people can do rituals. And also, we just have a lot of community stuff. Workshops, of course. We have drum circles at night where we have drummers and we have dancers, which is where I met my current husband, dancing around the fire, because not many men come out. So I hope that, I encourage men to come dance around fires. You never know who you're going to meet.
Yeah, no, and it's not that there aren't men there, it's that the men don't participate in the dancing at the fire circle as much.
Right, because it seems like only women do, and so there are a few men.
I definitely did everyone that I've come to, at least one.
Good.
So anyway, let's get back to you for a sec. And so where does Gardnerian witchcraft and Aquarian Tabernacle Church witchcraft fit in with all of this organization?
So I met my teacher, Bella Donna Laveau, who's the archpriestess of the ATC church. ATC was established in 1979 by Pete Pathfinder. I slow down. And that church really is responsible for a lot of the privileges that Wicca as a religion has in this country. Pete Pathfinder, along with Selena Fox, establishing our right as a religion that receives recognition from the IRS, so that we have tax exemption as a church, which is a big deal. ATC also is the first and only seminary that has a .edu designation as a seminary. And that's where I teach right now. But I met Bella, who took over for Pete Pathfinder at one of our festivals. And I really liked how she did her rituals and how she did witchcraft. So I'm like, you got to teach me. I want to be your student. So I became her student. She was living in Georgia at the time, and part of the deal of being the high priestess, she had to move to Washington State.
Oh,
so
wow.
I no longer had a coven to work with. So I met a local Gardnerian coven in Jacksonville, and got permission from Bella to practice with them. And this is the coven that I continue to circle with today. And they're my family, even though I still work for Bella and I am part of her tradition as well. I got started with the Gardnerian coven only as a circle to work with, because Bella left me.
So do you find that they blend well together, or
they're both British traditional Wicca. ATC comes from you say Alexandrian, they got down that lineage. So they have a little bit difference of opinions than Gardnerian, but they both come from the same root stock, I guess. So it's easy, for me to go between the two worlds. And but I teach the ATC for the ATC, so it's not Gardnerian there. And we don't have any oath-bound stuff with the ATC.
And so how did you get involved with the seminary and teaching, and also you have a degree from there as well?
Right. So under Bella, I joined the school, and I did freshman through sophomore all the way through, got my bachelor's degree. I started in their graduate program, but it shut down because there wasn't enough attendance there. So because of my accounting degree, when Bella found out, that I had that background, she asked me to become bookkeeper for the school. So I started doing that in 2015. And then after about 4 years, she said, will you be bookkeeper for the entire organization? And I'm like, okay. So, and I mean, they have Spiral Scouts. Have you heard of Spiral Scouts? It's a pagan scouting group, much like
interesting.
Yes, it's fantastic. They have a Wicca Press. They have a Save the Seeds Foundation. They have so many different little affiliates or subsidiaries. So it's a big process to account for. And then I want to say 2020, I was asking.
I was going to say, and you're financially responsible for organizing all of that? You're freezing up a little bit there, so I didn't hear what you just said. Just a warning to anyone watching this, if my recording is still going.
I manage the bills, it's a church, so it's donation based.
I don't know if we're recording, but just a warning, we're both in Florida. Yeah, we're both in Florida, and there's a little bit of stormy weather around, so that might be accounting for our somewhat questionable connection just now. So are you back? Are we connected again?
I'm here, yeah.
Okay, so where we left it was that I was asking you, I was basically saying you're financially responsible for the whole organization from top to bottom?
I'm not.
I mean, not responsible, organizing the finances or keeping track of it all.
Yes, I make sure, yes, make sure the bills are paid. You were all donation based. There's Bella doesn't get paid, and that's a sad state for Wicca, is we don't have any paid clergy. The home base. I don't know if we're stopping again.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm hearing you, but you're not moving. So.
Okay, well, as long as you're hearing me, that's good.
Yeah, well, we'll see, because this the technology that's making this is fairly sophisticated. So we'll see what it puts together. I'll have to check out this spot and see if I need to edit all this out, or we can just have it as a fun little weird moment. Hopefully it won't continue. Usually it goes for a bit and then it sort of goes back to normal. So so it sounds to me like you are a person who jumps into things and becomes an important part of the
an asset.
how does
I'm an asset.
Right, yeah, no, and I feel like, most organizations find a person like you of some sort, or they die, and and so, like, what is it that makes you feel like you want to do that over time, to be such a an integral part of making things happen?
Well, I am absolutely committed to the goddess, and the gods. I love Wicca. I want Wicca to be out there. And, I always thought that I had to do it through a coven, the little coven structures and stuff like that. But over the past, since I would say 2 or 3 years ago, especially with becoming a third degree, it's like, you know what, I can support this cause in a much more effective way by using the skills that I have to support the ATC, to support Phoenix festivals, to support my local clergy groups by participating. Jacksonville has a huge pagan community. We do Jacksonville Pagan Pride Day. We do Gay Pride Day. We do a summer full moon ritual. So I participate in that. I personally don't have a coven. Even though I'm sticking with my parents, and
It's quite psychedelic.
there you go.
Whoa, man.
Hello. I can't hear you. You are muted. There we go.
It says we're still recording, so hopefully that psychedelic interlude has now connected us in a more effective way. So you were saying that you don't actually have your own coven, and that you like to support the community in other ways, but you work with the coven.
Yes.
Other people.
I don't know if you heard. I mean, we did, when my husband and I were thirded, we elected to stay with our group, and just circle there. And it's okay, because my high priest and priestess, it's usually the 4 of us for every full moon or when we do rituals. And it's a lot of fun because we gel really well. And there's other people in their coven that come sometimes, but most of the time it's just the 4 of us. And I just don't have any desire to have personal students right now.
So there's a sort of an expectation within Gardnerian witchcraft when you're a third degree that you're supposed to kind of hive off and take on new students and so forth.
Yes, we're supposed to split and to spread the love and try to attract other people to our groups. I do too much to do that. I do have a few personal students with the ATC, but they're students at the school, and that's the requirement, is they're getting taught through the school, and then I meet with them like once a month or twice a month to discuss their personal path. We do not do any initiations or elevations over the computer. They have to come to me So I had someone just last month fly down from Missouri, so he could just dedicate, and that was fantastic.
So within the ATC, most of the seminary, most of it is an online experience, though.
Yes, yeah, and I teach at night. So I teach classes like tarot, magical herbalism, astrology, and ritual, which is the great. I love that class, teaching ritual, and the students have to present ritual every week. So it's pretty intense program.
They present ritual over like a Zoom like this, or
Teams? Yes, yeah. The school uses a Teams platform.
Mm-hmm.
So basically behind me, like on that desk over there, would be an altar set up, and they have to cast and call, and they have to present ritual in front of the camera and in front of everybody. And the rituals are on Facebook. They're open to the public. Anybody can come to them.
And so how do you find that if you want to watch it?
It's under the ATC. Well, we have Wiccan. The seminary I teach is called Wilstenstein Theological Seminary, WSTS. And you can find it on that website or the Aquarian Tabernacle website.
And then after the ritual has been conducted, you critique it, or?
Yes, that's part of it. So part of the school, it's on Sunday nights, and so we spend Mondays discussing what went well, what didn't, and then all the class has to critique it. That's part of the classwork, is you have to be able to give criticism, because as a high priest or high priestess, you have to train and you have to deliver bad news sometimes, right? So it's part of the process. And then we talk about who's coming up next and what they're doing. And there is a framework. We move through the zodiac, so the rituals are based on the energy of the season. So like right now we're in Gemini, right? Yes. And so Gemini rituals will be like kind of, so we talk about what type of energy surrounds Gemini and what kind of God forms and stuff like that. So I love the class. It's a lot of fun.
And so, I mean, I like to discover what people are doing ritually. So what kind of rituals are these, and what's the intention behind them usually? Is it just a celebratory ritual, or are they rituals that have a magical and a manifesting intent sometimes, or what's the range?
Okay, so the criteria is you have to present one spell working, at least one. Some people do more. One spell working, one like an invocation of a god or god form, goddess. That's, so you're speaking for her. A psychodrama has to be a psychodrama. One has to be a color ritual, which is kind of cool. Yep. So
what does that mean?
Like you invoke the color.
Oh, okay.
A color. So and so like the chakra colors basically, and what that means. So if you're going to do red, more likely it's going to be more like that, like root chakra, warrior type energy, or something about whatever the person feels like represents red. So and then I'm trying to off the top of my head. So there's about 6 different that they have to do, and they have to do one a month. So they can double up on a couple. They have to do individual, and then they have to work with a partner, and then they have to work with a team. So there's a whole bunch of requirements. So they get.
I assume psychodrama is usually a team one.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Hard to do a psychodrama by yourself. I mean, you could, but
no, you definitely have to have help with that.
So. And these are rituals that people write, or can they use other people's rituals? And
most of the time they write it themselves, even though they are allowed to use other students' work as a basis, because this is your junior year, and it's called rituals to you wretch. You get so sick of writing rituals, and sometimes you just have writer's block. I mean, you probably know this. And if you're scheduled to present, a ritual next weekend and you're stuck, you sometimes have to glean from other people. But
so the spell work rituals, you're giving a critique of them the next day. So are there times when you've said, oh, that was a terrible ritual, it didn't work out, but whatever the intention actually manifested, so you had to eat a little bit of crow on that? Or it seems like spell work ones, there's usually at least a little bit of a delay on whether it has manifested or not. So have you frozen again?
Yes, we definitely had to give bad news and sometimes people don't work well together. You did. Effective the spell was, I just grade like how it was delivered and could it have been effective? You know what I mean? So yeah, that's how that works. Is I don't judge how well. There's just things like, did you cast a circle? Did you call in quarters? Did you you know, the elements of ritual. So I don't really judge the content, it's the elements. So did you raise energy? How did you send it? Did you ground? That kind of thing. So that's what we're looking for. And to reinforce it month after month, so that when you go out in the real world and you're out, you know, in your community, you know how to do a ritual, you know the parts of it, and that's what we're training right there. So good, solid ritualists.
You also are a tarot reader as well.
Yes.
And
yes.
and you teach that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have clients that you do tarot readings for, or are you mostly a teacher at this point?
No. Okay, so I'm full-time clergy and I have to make money. And one of the things that Bella says is you have to do something that makes money, you know? So tarot seems to fit in with my lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So I read for a company called Keen.com.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I read for them and I usually read a couple hours every morning. And then I teach at night. So between the two, I'm able to pay my bills. So I get real life experience with tarot, which I think is important, especially being a teacher of it, that I have, you know, I have stories to tell. And so
I imagine that environment is a little bit interesting because do you do it over a video or do you do it just over phone?
It is through phone call or chat, actually. A lot of people chat.
Really? Don't they charge by the minute?
They do.
So it seems.
But you know, here's the thing: is international clients, it's cheaper to text than it is to call.
I see.
So when I get a text, it's usually going to be someone from a different country, or people at work who can't be on the phone. You know, they're texting under their desk or something. Right. But I'll tell you some of the stories, some of the issues is they're crazy. I've been doing that about 3 years now, and
it's interesting because I've done a little bit of phone reading and a lot of bit of like in-person reading, and I always found the phone readings to be easier in some ways but harder in other ways because there's a certain amount of sort of energetic and just visual components to doing a reading with a person, and when you take that away, it really all of a sudden everything is much more sort of theoretical. You know, like you're really with your oracle 100% and not with the whatever's going on between.
You're not getting body language.
No, or just facial expressions, or like just the person's vibe when they're sitting in the room. You know, are they really depressed or are they really you know, excited about something? Like all of that is missing to a large extent. So have you done a lot of in-person readings as well, or has it mostly just been the over the phone?
Well, part of my training I had to do 50 in person, 50 different people, so that was part of my training for my initiation, actually. So but I love the phone reading because I think I can tell when someone gets on the phone just by the tone of their voice or how fast they're speaking, you know, how they're coming into the call.
Sure.
And it really does blow me away. And you know, the tarot is a tool to open up conversation. You know, it doesn't even have to be 100% accurate, because if it's not, then the client usually is going to say, well, that's not right. This is what's happening. And then you get more. And usually the cards you can, oh yeah, that's, you know, it's in that card, but I just didn't pick that up.
Sure.
So it truly is a tool for communication and working with people and helping them process things that they're going through. And you know, sometimes I'll be on the call for an hour and I'll have to tell them I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm exhausted. And you know, it's cheaper than a psychotherapist. It's more accessible, you know, and you probably get the same kind of you don't get drugs. You get the same
Right.
kind of feedback, you know.
talk discussion about things.
Yeah, people just want to talk, especially during COVID. Oh my goodness.
Do you find that people are often asking you things that you don't want to talk about? Like, and I've had like some people ask me for things like advice on which thing they should invest in or something like that.
Oh. No, I put on my bio, I do not do any medical readings. I won't give law advice. I've never had anybody ask me about investments.
Like male clients often ask very sort of incredibly practical, alarming things about their whole future, and I'm like, you understand these are just cards, right? I mean, I believe in this, but I don't want you to, you know, make foolish decisions because of
right. Because what I tell people is the future predictions are based on your habits right now. You always do, people do things habitually, and that's your energetic imprint. And the only way to change your future is to change what you are doing now. And and that's hard for a lot of people. They don't want to. They don't want to get off the couch and go outside and you know, work out or do something to make them feel better about themselves, which would make them be more sociable to meet that guy. And you know, the investment thing is like, yeah, I can tell you this, but if something you go do something screwy tomorrow, it's going to change everything. So
Sure.
it's not set in stone. You know, these readings are advice and lets you hopefully see things that you might not see typically. Because
just like that coin flip where you say, you know, you know, the fact that it's landed on one doesn't mean that that's necessarily the one you should choose, but it tells you in your heart what you actually wanted to have happen, right?
Right.
I mean, so I mean, you know, that's something that can come from that kind of conversation. But yeah, it's there's definitely a lot of responsibility. I try and tell people that, you know, when they're talking to me about the tarot, that like, this is an incredible amount of responsibility, and you really need to think about what you're saying to people before you say stuff, because they're going to take it much more seriously than they would take it even from a therapist, you know, because you're the voice of
right.
the divine, and that even if they don't believe in it, it still affects them in that way because of the nature of of the setting, you know.
Yeah, even if they don't believe, they're cynical, there's still a little voice in their head.
I mean, I can't even tell you how many times, because I do readings at parties. I don't know if I've told you that, but I can't even tell you how many times people have come up to me like, I don't believe in any of this, but go ahead and give me a reading. And at the end of it, they're like, I still don't believe in this, but I don't know how that was all so meaningful to me. I just don't get it. And I'm like, this is about you, not me. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing here. So anyway, how did you discover the tarot as a tool? It sounds like it was a part of your witchcraft training.
Oh yeah. It was definitely part of my training, and I'm trying to think if even beforehand. You know, I don't think so. I think it was truly because of the training that I had to get into it.
And that's within the ATC training?
Right. Yeah. And I use it all the time. I use it for personal questions constantly. I go to it all the time. So it's my favorite. That, and I have to say astrology too, but astrology is so integrated in the tarot. It's crazy.
Right. Right. So I mean, yeah, once you kind of have one part of the Western mystery tradition, you start to see it seeping into everything else.
Yes.
Geomancy is the same way. It's you know, they're all sort of
integrated. Oh, really?
Yeah. I used to try and get people to do geomancy readings with me when I was working in places. No one ever wanted one, so I've only probably ever given maybe, I don't know, 100 or 200 geomancy readings to a client.
I'll have to get one from you.
next time I'm with you, I will.
Yeah. Cool.
So anyway, back to you. I keep redirecting it to me. But so one of the things I like to talk about with people is what they believe the spirits, angels, demons, and gods actually are to them. Like what is the meaning of them to you?
Okay, so I really truly believe that there is a higher realm of beings, and my personal philosophy is I am here as an incarnate vessel, and I get to experience the material world. You know, I get to taste, I get to smell, I get to have sex, I get to, you know, spend time in nature and have all this stuff. Whereas the spirits, they have a bigger view of time and the whole, you know, they have a huge view of everything. So we're actually, there's like this symbiotic relationship with spirits where they you know, help me, direct us. I mean, I don't want to speak for other people's beliefs, but they direct me to do things that are in my best interest for my greater good. And in turn, I give them my respect, my honoring, you know, I go to them, you know, and then in turn, they also get to, like, if I draw down and stuff, they get to experience a little bit of the material world for that time that they're here. So I do think it's definitely a mutual beneficial relationship between spirits. Now, do I call them angels, demon, or no, I don't. I just say higher self, definitely, and spirit guides. So, and I have a realm, I have a group that I call on. They include humans and non-humans.
that are in the spirit world.
Yes, that helped me. Yes. So that's
so
my personal.
When you're interacting with those beings, what is that interaction like? Is there do you have a very visionary and visceral connection with it, or do you look for signs? How does it work for you?
Okay, so tarot, definitely. I definitely feel that is communication between me and the gods. I also use nature a lot. I really feel like I do believe in communication with plants, and I can sit with them and ask for help there too. And I really think it's the same darn thing coming through the plant. You know, it's all the same stuff. So it just, I'm focusing my intention and I just hear. I don't. It's that clairsentience, that knowing. I just know. And when I feel that, then I feel like I'm being told something, either affirmation or, you know, or no, don't do that kind of thing. I don't know if that's what you're asking me, but that's how
it is.
Okay.
And so that feeling space, what is that like for you? Is it you know, describe it in terms of the sensory world.
Okay, so I just feel, you know, that a lot of human beings are so focused on the head and intelligence, and it's really taken away from our heart. You know, I really feel that our heart is where the messages come through. The electromagnetic field coming out of our heart is definitely greater than our mind. You know, we can tell that when we come up on anybody, any other human being or anything. We just feel things, like we feel that guy's creepy, or that girl is really, she's receptive. You know, so it has to come through your heart. But if your heart, so if I'm making a decision, I will eventually get to a place where I will feel excited about it. Like Pam Montgomery calls it, your heart pings, ping, 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 ping. And if it's not anything you should be doing, or it's not good for you, then you just don't get that. You get that heart thud. And you can also, another tool is the pendulum, and you hold the pendulum in front of your heart, and that field that's coming out of your heart will make your pendulum either move one direction or the other. So, I mean, you can physically see what's going on, possibly using a pendulum also.
Sure. So that feeling that you're talking about is exactly what I'm talking about with a client being in front of me as opposed to on the phone. I think over the phone you kind of eventually get it, but for me it's a much slower process. But when someone sits with me, I immediately feel, okay, this is what this person is about, you know. And on the phone it's a longer process. But so in terms of your in ritual, or even in just sort of, you know, interaction, auditory and visual components aren't really a part of it for you?
I would say no.
No?
Yeah. When I do ritual, I love ritual. I love ritual so much. And so, but all this stuff that I'm talking about is like independent, outside of ritual. So I guess when I'm drawing down, which you ask gods to come into your body, like during full moon, that's part of our tradition. You would, I guess it's auditory, and then I would speak it. So I don't say.
You feel like you hear it before it becomes out of your mouth?
Yes. So it's definitely, I don't see spirits. I mean, I can't say I've ever done that. I know they're there, but I can't say I've ever seen a ghost or a spirit or anything like that. But it's definitely, I don't know how to explain it. It's just, it pops in my brain. It's there.
Yeah, I mean, your explanation is perfect for you. I'm curious how everybody operates and what's going on with people. So
you ever do writing? I mean, auditory writing, not auditory, but like, what's that
automatic
word? Automatic, yes. I definitely, that helps a lot too. I'll write, definitely write.
And when you're doing that, is that again, you're sort of like, it's coming to you and you're putting it down, yes. Or do you feel like the pen is operating independently?
No, it's coming through.
Mm.
Yeah, it's not my hand just.
Yeah.
I don't, I just hear words and I write them, and it's really frantic trying to keep up. But yes, that works too.
So, in terms of, we talked about spellcraft for a moment before in a teaching context, but in terms of your own life, where does a sort of practical magic, magic to accomplish goals, fit in with your world? You seem very busy, so I don't, I won't fault you if it's not a huge part of your life.
Well, one thing, and you probably would, can identify with this, is when we're baby witches, when we're starting out, we need a lot of tools. We need our athames, our candles, our rocks, our crystals, all that stuff. But the further I personally have gone on my path, I don't need those so much. I've really trained myself to be able to pretty much manifest what I want without all of the bells and whistles.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like I live a charmed life. And I don't think it's because I'm lucky. I think it's really because I do magic all the time. It's like I always walk in a vibration as if it is happening. It's so moted be, is that term, is like it is. So and when you're doing magic, you cast your spell and you act just like it's done, it's accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
So that I take to heart. And when we state affirmations, I have a practice, a devotional practice, where I do my gratitudes and I state my intentions. They're always as if they're already done. So I'm walking ahead of my intention, and therefore it is, because I don't recognize anything that's going to make me feel differently, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's like when I pull into a parking lot, I know there's going to be a space. I don't even question it. There is.
So affirmations are a form of magic as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
I have pretty broad, or practical magic, I mean. So how often do you find yourself doing affirmation work? Every day or every few days?
I mean, yes, every day. And like mantras and stuff like that.
Is that something that you sit in a temple space for, or do you just do it at your desk there?
Not in a temple space, usually outside. When am I mean, I do, like, I am, that safe and secure is a good thing for me, because my life's been pretty jumbled, where I've lost everything and come back. So it's like, I got to be safe and secure, healthy and holy. I mean, those things. And then, what I want to do for a day, I make my list, get them done. It's all magic. And that's why I'm able to do all these things, because, I also believe you got to be in good health to be productive. You have to take care of yourself. And people, my best friend she says I wear a tutu all the time. I'm just like, woo, tutu girl. And sometimes I don't like that, because it's like, that kind of means like I live in a different world, but I guess I do, and I'd want to be in my world. I don't want to be in yours.
Sure.
Because I'm happy. I'm truly absolutely happy with everything.
So you're a friend that says that you live in a tutu world. That they're a non-pagan, non-witch person, or are they?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She'd like to be, and I don't know about you, but you attract people who want that. your energy, your like how you are. They want, but they don't want to put the work into it. So
Sure.
it's okay. I see that in school. There's a lot of people that come to school. They want to do witchcraft. They want to learn it, but they really don't, because they don't want to invest the time. It's work.
So I'm going to ask you this question in a different form in a few minutes, but what do you think that, how can a person get past that sort of, I mean, because they want it, right? So how can they get past that inertia of, how do you encourage people to get moving?
Yeah, that's true, because you have to, personal responsibility is, I think, the very first step. You have to take responsibility for where your life is right now and not play victim. Being victim is never going to fit in witchcraft, or Wicca, because you have to be able to rise above that and empower yourself to make changes. And that's really what we're here to do. We're here as human beings to balance our lives in a way that we can move forward in a happy, healthy way. And balance is critical. And if you're spending too much time on the couch in front of the TV, that's an imbalance. If you're working all the time, you're never going to have a spiritual life if you are working 60 to 70 hours a week. So I guess the key word is balance. You've got to find that balance and dedicate time to study, dedicate time to worship yourself, to love yourself. That's another thing. If you don't love yourself, it's hard to do magic, because you don't believe you're worthy of anything. And you have to believe you're worthy.
Sure.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I see a lot of people on the internet, and even people who come into my sphere, who they're nervous to sort of get started with doing occult things, because they I don't know why, but
religious culture, yeah,
they like to think about it and talk about it, but they don't really seem to want to do ritual or even meditation, or there seems to be a block to kind of getting started. And a lot of times it takes the form of, I don't have the right stuff, I don't have the right space, blah 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 blah, but that's all just a bunch of nonsense. So when people are coming to you as a teacher and they're not doing the work, what do you say to them?
Yeah, before I even answer that, today I was reading a book, and it was talking about indigenous cultures and how they knew the names of every single plant and tree in their environment. It was a medicinal book. And I was thinking to myself, it is because these people do not have the distractions that we have here in our country.
Right.
I imagine, because these are tribes like, in the Amazon, they have no distractions. So they have the time to dedicate to learning the plants. And that is what, they have to. It's right in front of them. So I think we have so many distractions that make us not want to do the work. Like I said, reading tarot for an hour is exhausting. Doing ritual is exhausting. Meditation, anything like that where you are focused, is mentally exhausting. So it's a practice. It's like building up your muscles. You have to start slowly and cut yourself, some slack. If you can't sit and meditate for 30 minutes, then you sit and meditate for 5 minutes. Or like me, I can't sit and meditate. That drives me bonkers. I have to walk. So I walk or I write. That's how I process. That's how I get inspiration. Sit with a plant. It's not going to be a long time sitting with that plant, but so when we have people that come, making small goals. When I started, I thought I had to learn everything immediately. So if I have a student, it's baby steps. Find something that works for you and go from there. But you've got to rid the distractions. I don't have a TV I love football, so it goes on for football. But I don't have a TV that I sit and watch. I keep saying the TV, right? Or Facebook, social media.
Right.
What other distractions are there? Your kids. If you are an active parent, if you've got babies,
distractions.
It's just not the time. Yeah, and like I said, I raised kids, so it's crazy how much time kids. So it might not be the time. I really think your spiritual practice is reserved for people who are post that. There might be some.
That's certainly, I mean, that's been true in a number of cultures. You know, that was the ideal model in India. That was the ideal model in Judaism. You know, so you know, that's certainly a presence of ancient Greek philosophy to an extent. Although I think that's a little bit more complex because they would have young students very often. But so I mean, yeah, you're right.
They were dedicated. They were dedicated to their priests and their
Right.
you know, their temple. They didn't have distractions either.
Right.
Right.
Well, I mean, the idea of distraction, I think, is kind of a modern term, isn't it? I mean, I mean, not the word, but just the way that we think of it, you know, because there's just stuff coming at you here. You know, there's billboards and electronic devices and cars and, you know, just like all kinds of stuff going on all the time that just in the rainforest or, you know, you're not going to have that. You're going to be looking at what is present in your environment,
right.
and that's it. So I'm going to wrap things up in a second here, because I know from what you've said that you have a lot of things to accomplish both spiritually and practically outside of this conversation. So but what do you see the future of festivals now that we've had this sort of year of just it's all been kind of taken away, more than a year? Are they going to come back together in the same way? Is it going to be new? Tell me what your sort of vision for the future is.
Well, I know, you know, and part of Phoenix Festivals is the one I coordinate, but ATC runs 2 events as well, and they have been they did their 2020s online, which I thought there's no way, but their October event, Hecate Sickle, was mind blowing, had me in tears. It was amazing. So that media has met the challenge last year with this, and I don't see it going away. I know a lot of people are still working from home. There's no intention of them coming back. My festival, personally, we are seeing a huge, you know, the generation discrepancy. Or disparity, whatever you want to call it, is huge. We don't have young people coming in. We are hosting our autumn meet in October, live events, and we're not really changing anything. Where I'm just carrying over the same, you know, format that I had planned for last March, and so, but I'm not paying like a lot of people to fly in. Like we had Diana Paxton from California, and so she's not coming in, and there was somebody else from New York, just in case, you know, I don't want to have to refund tickets again. That was terrible. But for my festival, I don't know. I really think that it's a dying dinosaur, you know, the festivals, in a way, because we're not getting the younger people to come in, and, you know, we're just getting older, and it's tiring.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, certainly. I mean, do you think that's true all over the country? I mean, Florida has a somewhat older population to begin with.
Oh, yeah. So I, you know, festivals started because there was nowhere else to get the information. We're like, we just said, we're inundated with tons of information. There's podcasts, there's rituals online, there's everything you need. You don't even have to leave your house. I'm worried about it, but I'm gonna go. We'll see what happens.
I mean, to me, I feel like, I mean, yeah, maybe festivals aren't totally necessary and aren't totally the only viable way of connecting, but actually connecting with people in the real space rather than like this digital space between us right now is much preferable. And so, I mean, there needs to be some sort of events. Do you think it's possible that sort of the camping aspect or the outdoorsiness is something that is off-putting to young people? Because I know, like, young people will come, you know, I've gone to a lot of these things at this point, and young people will come on like a Saturday and just be there for the day, and they walk around the merchant area. They don't ever go to a workshop or anything, and then they just go home. You know, so I mean, like, I'm not sure what they're getting out of it because of that, you know, because they're not like entering into the community space as much. But so, I mean, like you said,
I think a lot of young people are also very cynical. Yeah. You know, I mean, like I said, I've got 6 kids, and my kids they're scared. They're not even having their own children. You know, my boy, I got 4 boys, none of them are having babies. They don't want babies. You know, my girls had them, they're done. But I mean, there's a lot of cynicism, and I think there's a lot of people who don't believe in spirit. They don't believe in any kind of, they don't have religious, you know, affiliations. You know, the Southern Baptists, even, you know, strong where I live, probably where you are too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're leaving their family traditions. So I don't know. I love going out and being with people. I know we'll definitely, we call ourselves the Phoenix family, and it's family PHAMILY. Yeah. And we'll always have the family. Like I said, I'm just concerned about the younger generation and not getting those people stepping up to do leadership.
So how you, as a parent and a magical organizer on multiple levels, how can the community get young people more engaged?
Probably do things that attract them. So probably, you know, the music is the one thing. Mm-hmm. You know, that kind of thing. Maybe more arts, like more engaging workshops that we sneak in the magical practice, you know, things into. Because you know, the raves and like the Burning Mans, they do sure. Great. But that's, see, and then that also has a stereotype of what kind of people are there and why they're going. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, and that's okay. But, you know, yeah, it would have to be something like that. There's going to be more activity, more action than spiritual. Because my festival is, like I said, it's ritual, it's workshops, there's a lot of people hanging out and just being together. And the younger generation want more stimulation, you know. I don't know. You asked me about the future, and I've been talking to the board of directors. I'm like, where are we going to go with this? Because it's getting tough.
So hopefully we'll all have some inspiration come. Everyone watching this, think about it. And I mean, if you like festivals, what?
How can we, kids, even my sons, they grew up in it, and they don't come. They don't
yeah.
I've got other things I want to do.
Well, I mean, sometimes the thing that your parents do doesn't seem too interesting. You know, like my children are pretty cynical about all this stuff too.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Because that's what Dad does, you know. And they also see behind the curtains, you know, the things that are imperfect about me in many ways, you know. So
true.
Like, you know, like you aren't that in my ends, Dad. I saw you the other night. So anyway, final.
My girlfriends of my sons are kind of like afraid of me. So.
Well, I mean, it seems like they should be.
And they're friends too. There's
one
boy, I told my son's friend I'm gonna turn him into a possum if he didn't stop. And he believed me, and he won't come to my house ever again.
Well, you've got some good mythology around you for sure. That's great. So final question, and I've already kind of asked this, but I'm gonna ask it hopefully in a slightly different way. If you could give one piece of advice to a person who is just starting their magical path to avoid pitfalls or to enrich themselves in the most efficient way possible, what would that piece of advice be? Other than going to festivals.
Go to festivals.
Go to festivals.
I would tell them to go slow. You know, I think people get turned off by the fact that they can't get it immediately. You know, I wish there was an easier answer. It's just it's tough, and you have to have a commitment and to reach out to those of us. There's a lot of us who want to teach. Like I said, my passion is I want the world to know about Wicca, and you know, I'm happy to point anybody in direction that they need to go. So asking questions and just know that it takes a while.